Hello and welcome. Takes a little while for these to load in. That's a learning point for me. Hello, welcome to the Pokéminterlude, our weekly recap of the Pokémon Draft League here in the Kansas City Breathmint Discord channel. Channels, it's plural. On the docket today, we've got a variety of Pie Mint matches up. We've got the Battle of the Switches in TUN and yooori, and a look ahead at games to watch out for round 2, as well as a bonus exam-related surprise. I'm your host, Ross, also known as Revolver Rossalot, and I'm delighted to introduce our panel for today. We have TUN. I can point at the frog. Hello, good morning.
Hi, yeah, I'm the frog.
And yooori. Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, I'm not a frog.
Also not a frog. Hello, Finn. Good evening. Those aren't the correct time zones. I just wanted to good morning, good evening, good afternoon. So we're going to jump straight into it, and we are going to, hopefully, if it's queued up, jump straight into the yooori TUN match.
Oh, sorry. Let me get that actually queued up. I asked, and someone just said whichever.
Sure, we're just close enough.
Where is this? All right, here we go.
Oh, music's a bit loud. Good point, Todd. Thank you. I have not got my... Thank you for the warning. Hopefully that's better.
Nervous.
All right, so I want to point out two things. One, I 1 million billion% knew that TUN was not going to bring any hazards into this match, because there's not a great Pokemon to set up hazards, which is why I have heavy-duty boots on 2 of my Pokemon, because I forgot to switch them off before doing that. They should have been Leftovers and Black Sludge, which may have helped a little bit, but it absolutely would have helped a lot, actually, just because those Pokemon switch in and out a lot, and they get the free heal every single time. Yeah, it's fine. And the team is naturally pretty bulky. It's got some recovery, so it's like whatever. You take it. The specific things that I prepped beforehand were Tauros was built as a way to counter Breloom entirely, and I should have been more aggressive at keeping it alive in later parts. And Goodra was built as a Gardevoir counter. And then I don't love Palossand, but I couldn't figure out a better slot to take because I didn't want to bring in Cryogonal, because I didn't think it added a lot to... maybe it would have been better than Palossand as another way of defeating Breloom, but who knows? And I'm very bad at playing Belly Drum teams. I'm good at Dragon Dance. I'm good at Quiver Dance. Belly Drum is very different, and it's not something I'm the most familiar with. And my inexperience showed a lot in this match. Just the soul read was that TUN in game 1 is going to lead with Breloom, and so I can 100% safely lead in with Tauros, who has been built to outspeed max speed investment Breloom by 1 point, provided it's not choiced. Yes, I've just. So it's the freest Will-O-Wisp in the world to put that on. It breaks Focus Sash in case TUN decides to keep it in and try to Spore instead, which I beat with Safety Goggles also. This Tauros is absolutely the Breloom counter, and I had the first turn played out so well in my head, and it went exactly as planned. I got the burn off different Pokemon, and Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no.
Let me work out what that is. TUN, yooori, you can continue speaking. I can confirm you're being heard.
Okay. So that was I planned the lead so I planned everything about the lead for game 1, and not so much how to actually play it out well, except do safe switch-ins, set up Belly Drum if I feel like it's 100% safe. Yeah, that's sort of it. What about you, Tun?
My mindset into going into this game was nervous. I was extremely nervous. And I just spent the week thinking about like what could yooori bring. I was almost certain you were going to bring Cryogonal to this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised to not see that. But beyond that, I was just trying to find a balance between trying to counter yooori's team, but also trying to play my team in sort of a base mode because I hadn't gotten to do that a whole lot, right? And I wanted to at least get a feel for how my team would play. In terms of specific things that I did to deal with yooori's team, the Titan was something that I was scared of the entire way.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that in the back of your mind, haven't you?
Yeah,
Also,
absolutely.
quick check, can we hear me yet? Maybe Tun just keeps saying things. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I would love it if people could hear Finn.
I was Sorry, I just had the stream unmuted, and I think we're good. So I'm going to keep going and be optimistic. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Regardless, so the Avalugg was my Titan counter, because even with Belly Drum set up, Avalugg beats Titan.
Oh yeah, it's impossible to kill. It is
straight up beats it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Avalugg has access to recover, whereas Titan doesn't. Its only recovery is a citrus berry. And with body press,
yeah, that's the thing with Belly Drum, isn't it? Sorry, I keep butting in, but it's like you really, really don't want that thing coming out before it's ready, because if you hit 50% too soon, that is, that's game.
Yeah, and even with the citrus berry, I mean, you're at 2/3 health or whatever it is, and but Avalugg would beat it straight up from full health, to be honest.
I ran the math like 1 billion times, and like my best move does not chip Avalugg at all. It's like a guaranteed 9 or 10 turn KO.
Yeah, without Belly Drum, it's a miserable matchup.
Yeah,
with Belly Drum, it's still losing.
It still loses. Easily still loses.
So and that's part of it. Is there are going to be a lot of moments in this match where, spoilers, people are going to look at this and be like, well, okay, why is yooori not belly drumming? That was the whole point. Why isn't she doing it? And it's because even if you set up belly drum, Avalugg's still alive, and I can just switch in Avalugg, and that's it, right? And if you click that button while Avalugg's still alive, Titan is useless now.
Yeah, because I kind of discarded Avalugg like in my head going in this. So I was like, I know Avalugg's got mammoth defense stats, but in my head I'm like, oh, it's an ice type, who cares, right? But ice is in fact the only thing that does resist Titan's ice type. So yeah, that'll do it.
And Titan also doesn't have like great coverage to be able to deal with it either, and it just makes it too difficult to break through, especially like because I want to set up snow to make Titan faster, but it also makes Avalugg bulkier, which means that my losing matchup gets even worse in the snow. So Avalugg actually, like, I was very afraid of it throughout the entire game. Haxorus, I knew that like as long as I never let it hit Dragon Dance more than once, it's fine. And even in that case, I might still be okay.
To talk a little bit about
actually probably start playing the match, I reckon, because the first few turns are just lots of switching around. And so I want to talk a bit about attrition and sort of like bulk and chip damage and things like that. So we may as well have that in the background. But yeah, sorry, Sean, what were you going to say?
So I talking about the lead. I was always going to lead Breitloom here.
Yeah.
And the reason for that was because I wanted yooori to show me exactly what she was going to do about Spore.
Yeah.
So when I saw that the Paldean Tauros came in, I was like, all right, it's probably safety goggles. You'll see later in this match I Spore anyway, just to prove it.
You got to check. You can't like, you got to make me prove that I've got it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this game other than, man, am I playing passive.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're looking at these first 4 turns, and so far, all that's happened is a really bulky Pokemon with leftovers. Vaporeon's got burned, and we've had a snow switch in. Oh, sorry, a chilly reception.
What
with
did
it.
you think of when it hit Dragon Pulse there?
Oh, I mean, I expected Dragon Pulse.
You expected Dragon Pulse, not Meteor?
Yeah, I mean, I figured that you wanted like just a more consistent special attacker.
Mhm.
And like Draco Meteor wasn't going to kill me anyway.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I didn't expect that you wouldn't have Draco Meteor at all. That was a bit
Yeah.
of a
I love
surprise.
Draco Meteor so much.
I like Draco Meteor, but like for the most part, anytime I would use Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse was just good enough.
Yeah, because again, because your team Yuri really wants to sort of pivot around, take hits liberally,
Mhm.
wear down with little attacks every time you get a chance.
Oh boy,
And then
parting shot.
meanwhile,
Parting
Yeah.
Shot's so good. I love Parting
Parting
Shot.
Shot is a really, really good move, and then because you get that free switch out as well as a stats reduction, but then to have Intimidate Tauros on there as well, that's just mean.
It's
Quite
very fun to
frankly.
just go like, all right, you're -2 attack. That's why I was so not afraid of Haxorus, because it's like, okay, I have Graphia in, I Parting Shot,
Yeah.
bring in Tauros, and you're -2 attack. Like, you can get as fast as you want. You're not killing anything very fast.
Because Graphia's got Prankster, that is, you can't do anything about it really. That's a priority move right there.
There was
Absolutely.
another thing that I want to talk about here as well, which is that I was certain this Slow King, was going to have Ice Beam. I was
Oh, yeah.
certain that it had Ice Beam, which is why you see me switch out the Haxorus and why I'm not bringing in the Breloom. But I was convinced that Yuri was going to bring Ice Beam because I was like, why would you bring Surf, right?
Yeah.
But it did have Surf.
It had Surf. That was because it was better neutral damage against a bunch of Pokemon that you didn't bring.
Yeah.
I went for the safe choice as opposed to the... Because I felt like I already had enough Haxorus counters.
Yeah, there's a lot of I mean, first of all, we're still 16 turns in. No one's gone down. There's not really any significant chip happening.
There's
Everyone's
really
just kind
no
of moving
serious.
around, taking hits, scouting around. And there's also something
Yeah,
that's quite
here it
interesting. We
is.
can look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go. Here's when the offense kicks into gear.
But
So
the other
you
thing was
Are
I
you guys
I
ready?
could
This
not
is the-
figure out what the last move on Breloom was for the longest time.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't show Bulldoze until into game 2.
Oh yeah, I suppose I didn't.
So there's no way for me to know for sure what it was.
I hope you guys are ready, by the way, because that is the last time I clicked the move Spore in any match.
And I was still thinking about it for the entire time.
Yeah,
we've
I mean,
still got to work around it.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to talk about.
Pause there because that's our first K, and so we can have a little breathing room.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about. Is that Spore probably the fact that you had heavy duty boots on 2 of your Pokemon was a big contributing factor to why I did not click Spore, even when Tauros was down. Even when it would have been totally safe to, because I was like, okay, it's not leftovers on the Graphii or on the Slow King. It has to just be
more goggles. Just goggles on all my Pokemon.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because
Yeah.
I was like, Yuri's a sicko. That's exactly what she would do. So I can't Spore.
Yeah. In actuality, I think goggles on Slow King would have been correct, but I hadn't thought enough about everything.
Well, the thing is,
Yeah.
again, because Tun's working around the fact that Tun thinks that Yuri's got. I don't know. I'm talking about you both in the third person here, but Tun thinks that Yuri has Ice Beam on this Slow King, because again, why would you not? And so even though it doesn't carry it, it's enough of a threat to make Tun play around it. And then meanwhile, Yuri's doing the same thing with Spore, and it's just mind games on mind games, and that's why we've got such a. That's my estimation. That's why we've got such a slow match here, because no one knows.
Neither of us are trying. We're trying to save as much information as possible. Like I sacked
Yeah.
Palisand pretty early because I don't think I want to set up rocks this game. I don't think I get the opportunity, so I will sack it to get a safe switch in for Graphii to deal with the Gardevoir.
Yeah.
Because we're going to see that. We're still going for a while here. We can probably speed up in a little while, because what will happen is we keep going like this for quite a while.
Yeah. I'll just
But,
set to normal speed for a little bit.
So what's going to happen in the end is Sun's going to take lots of chip eventually with all these safe switch-ins, then eventually clicking attack moves when there's not something more pressing to deal with.
hmm
And so we keep going round and round and round. Then eventually, TUN forfeits here. But the next couple of games, TUN, you've sort of got a feel. I don't know if you have by now, but I mean, have you both got like a rough memory of whereabouts you thought the other person was playing from at this point?
I made a bad assumption that like Breloom had sort of been dealt with. Like I had such a easy time having no problem with Breloom in this game that I was just like, oh, not a Pokemon I need to worry about, and I sort of let it live. I wasn't as aggressive in trying to take it down as much as I wanted to, but also I was more proactive about trying to set up stealth rocks. Of note, I was taking notes throughout this game, going just like trying to make sure, scouting out like what items things had, and I was just like very early on, I like took up a bunch of damage on the Palisand, and I was like,
Things
I
spec.
think that was more damage than it should have been, so I'm pretty sure that's choice specs. I wrote down choice specs, and then I forgot about the other half of choice specs for the rest of the match, which led me to do some bad switch-ins in games 2 and 3, and let me take way more damage than it should have. It should have been a free turn where I switch in Grafai every time, and instead, I let my Slowking take a big chunk, or I let my
And it is hefty
Palisand
chunks of damage.
die. Yeah, it was a lot, it was some really big misplays. But this first game also took forever.
Yeah. I think we finish.
One
We'll be done in 20 turns. So
One thing to talk about as well is this Goodra. This Goodra put in a lot of work. I would say
Yeah.
offensively.
They are speed tied, and I was very worried that it was a scarf, but the damage helped me go like, oh, it's spec, so I can just try to get the speed tie on Goodra, a KO the Gardevoir before it gets to do a thing.
Well, not only is it... See, here's my thing. I assumed that there wouldn't be any speed investment on the Goodra. I thought it would be bulky, right? So you see right there, I just let my Breloom go down at 90% HP because I thought I would be faster. So that's one KO you pick up from that. You will later pick up a KO on my Gardevoir, I think in game 3, because of that speed tie. So I was thinking, okay, Yooori... Now I'm not thinking, okay, this thing is max speed.
It's like a little speed investment.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is Yooori outspeeds me by 1 point. Okay, fine. But I'm still thinking Gardevoir is faster. Nope. Yooori made the sickest play and put that thing into a speed tie with my Gardevoir.
It's once again where I'm willing to take a 50-50 because I feel like I benefit more from the 50-50.
Yeah.
Because I know that Gardevoir can't OHKO the Goodra from full health because it has Assault Vest. It doesn't need the defensive bulk when you just put Assault Vest on it. So that's fine.
Yeah, the thing is that, I mean, first of all, when you do go offensive Yooori, it's still with incredibly bulky mons. You know, I mean, so Titan's got a mammoth HP stat. I mean, Goodra has got ridiculous special defense, especially with Assault Vest. So you really... Even when you're on the offense, you're kind of still on the defense. Is the kind of is what I find kind of striking.
Tauros is my favorite sicko Tauros, where it's running body press bulk up.
Yeah, which is so annoying to deal with. Because for reference, that means that you're boosting your defensive stats, but then body press does more damage based on the defense. So what happens is you get really, really bulky and really hard to take down, and at the same time, you're also getting revved up to kill things. So,
and here I surrender on
I was for sure thinking you were going to switch out because of the future sight that was going to come in.
Yeah. But yeah, again, so you can just sort of see at this point that Yuri's worn down mons with chip, and then occasionally having the opportunity to go for an attack. But you're playing really nicely and patiently here. And we're going to see that in a second. It's not that you'll change. Oh
god. God, how do I... Okay.
The stream will not have heard that. That's okay. We just had to deal with the battle music.
So this is another point where I was like, Palisand survives this no problem. I will just put in the move, or put in the stealth rocks and get that up, because that helps me deal with the focus sash here.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So here's Bulldoze, and having that move saved my life.
The speed drop was so important because so many of my speed calculations were based off of not having a speed drop.
Yeah, I didn't have any other form of speed control going into this match, which was a mistake. Speaking of which, man, this thing right here was useless. I wasn't able to do
Yeah, I was
anything with
expecting that to
one.
be a Brave Bird. Like, you know, you just like do a little bit of setup, maybe defog, roost or something, but then you just hit it with a Brave Bird when you're done with it. And I was surprised to see Air Slash instead. I was like, oh, okay. I don't worry
We can
about
go
this
back to that
Pokemon
in a
at all.
second. I just want to point out that we've actually had a K at turn 8 here, which is pretty far removed from going
Oh yeah,
20 turns non-stop, swipping in and out.
that was Tun saying,
happening.
oh, you just need to do some damage to Goodra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Goodra
but-
was a huge problem for me the entire time, and I thought, well, okay, Gardevoir is very useful for me in this matchup, but I need to kill something that Yuri doesn't want me to kill. That was nice getting Flame Body. I think I did that.
You
twice.
got Flame Body twice, 30% procs, and I'm just like, this is unfair. This is not the first one. I was like, it happens. The second one, I was
in
like,
that sense, Talonflame
What
did
if you
help.
call anything unfair on the same stream where Ross
Yeah.
is here listening,
but
getting
it would have
flinched
been like
however many
it
times in
would
a
have had
row?
Flame Body regardless, you know. Like you would have put Flame Body on that thing even if it were what do you call it? Brave Bird, you know.
Offensive? Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
probably would have put Gale Wings on it.
Really.
I find
maybe.
Gelvin so inconsistent. You've really got to be careful with it. It's a
Especially
one-time
with
leap.
like Chip, because it's like Talonflame is like one of the most like stealth rockable Pokemon in the world, you know?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
thing
those
loved to take a
boots.
fat 50% in one
Yeah,
go.
I'm clearly running a knockoff to like I'm okay with the trade for the most part of like getting rid of your boots with for a burn because
All right,
like
so this right here,
that was big. Having Surf on that was huge.
That was big.
yeah.
Yeah. And so
Being
we
able to
see
take
here,
out that
actually-
Tauros.
That
Once
unlocks
the
your
Tauros
pretty
goes
hard.
down, we're in business, folks.
Because you haven't got the option anymore, Yuri, of passing shot into Intimidate. And then more importantly, this is changing how you're playing, Tun. That's what really stands
yeah,
out for
for
me
sure.
here, because you've got much better feel for what Yuri's trying to do with here team. And also what Yuri's a little bit afraid of doing, which is going for the belly jump sweep versus Avalug's out there. Sort of
Well,
looming.
so I knew that for a fact that like there's a chance that like as long as Avalug's alive, I can't belly drum realistically.
Yeah.
But also I was like not sure of what Vaporeon's fourth move was. Like up until this point, I only saw it ever use Wish and Protect. So I was just like, it could have Haze. It could have Haze.
I did use Haze in game one,
And it
actually.
does have
Yeah.
Haze.
All right, so when the slow king came in, I was thinking, all right, this is when I can bring in Breloom now because I can just kind of attack. And I had to wish before I did that because I knew that Future Sight would be coming, and I needed to, at least live it. That switch forces me out because of Ice Shard, because obviously you're faster in the snow.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of this game is really just me waiting out the snow and then positioning to get my Breloom back in.
Mm-hmm. I spent a lot of time just trying to get as much free switches into Palisand as I could to try to get a little bit more healing on it, help it to survive one more turn, which may have been a mistake, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, right here, I'm feeling very confident that Yuri's not going to belly drum, which is why I go for the wish. And then right there, Yuri had a chance, but it would have taken a big read to serve.
I was like, oh, if Tun clicks Bullet Sleet, I'd just die, right? Maybe I should switch. And I was like, oh, but the Future Sight's coming. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to switch, even though I knew that I was going to die.
Yeah. And that was a trade right there, taking out the Grafai and the Slowking. I literally jumped up out of my seat when I killed the Grafai. I was like, yes! I hated that thing so much. And then, as you guys can see, here's Avalug winning the matchup.
Even a crit.
Yeah.
It's
Crit
just that
didn't
little
matter, I was gonna
depressing
win anyway,
14%. Just a really sad little number. Sorry, Yuri.
Yep. It's okay.
Yeah.
It happens.
But yeah, I felt like in game one, Avalug didn't really do anything for me. And in game two, obviously, it finished things off. But then you'll see here, it's also huge in game three.
Yeah. So at this point, I see you Shadow Ball, and I should think, just go into Grafai. It's going to use Shadow Ball. It's choiced. I go into Slowking instead.
Yeah, that
take
was a bit
so
confusing.
much damage. And then I finally and immediately go like, I should just I was worried that you would click a different move afterwards, but then I remembered like immediately after I was like, you're not even allowed to do that.
And Talonflame has just made its biggest contribution of the match. It defogged once.
Yeah, because
Here's
Talonflame really kind of. Oh, sorry.
Right
hold on.
here. Yeah, this is the speed tie win.
the speed tie that wins.
All right, and this
I
is
see.
when Yuri makes a bit of a mistake.
I was looking at the damage calculations going like Avalanche 2 shots, forgetting the secondary effect of Avalanche.
Yeah, because Avalanche doubles its trap power if you hit.
And like the revenge getting the burn on the knockoff, that sucks.
That was wonderful. And in this point, I'm feeling myself, and I'm feeling myself because I immediately switch in Haxorus, which wasn't probably the play, but that damage on the Tauros actually does end up mattering.
This was that wasn't the Will-O-Wisp burn miss. Also knowing that your Haxorus has Life Orb instead of Lumberry made me feel so good about just like clicking Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah, I didn't really care if my Vaporeon got burned, as you saw.
Yeah. Well, I was just like, I'm going to get you out of wishes eventually, and I'm just going
this right here. This move I'm about to click is a
Oh.
roll. This right here was a roll. That was a 75% chance to KO, so it was in my favor. But I was just like, I need to kill the Tauros.
Yeah, makes sense. I thought that I was going to live this, to be honest.
Here,
I did. Oh, I did. Okay.
Yeah. Here, I made a mistake by bullet seeding right there. I should have switched because if Yuri clicked Belly Drum on that turn right there, turn 18, I probably lose the game. I probably lose the game on the spot.
Because at the very least, I still have Slow King to deal with Avalug.
Yeah. The main issue. Well, no, Avalug was at very low HP.
Oh, that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it
Avalug
didn't
doesn't
matter.
win that fight anymore. But now here, I mean, the hole's been punched in the team, and Breloom goes down this turn, but it doesn't matter because so does Grafai, and
I knew that I couldn't win at this point. Like I need to do some very different things here. I think this is also a point where I could belly drum and be okay. It was like a risk as to whether or not you would use Haze or not.
Yeah, I mean, once that Citrus Berry's eaten, I mean,
yeah,
that's it, isn't it?
But then so that was unfortunate.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I can call it a mistake in hindsight, but it's also like, okay, there were like 120 something turns, and out of them in the 3 games,
yeah, because you guys must have been exhausted at this point.
I was mentally done in the middle of the second game for sure.
Yeah,
these were hard games.
And I mean, it looks pretty instant right now, but I would be surprised if you guys were sort of just clicking and going. You know,
the first game we were taking we did not use the timer. We're just sort of like going, and like I was taking a long time to pick moves. Tom was taking a long time to pick moves. I would often pick a move, sit there for like 30 seconds, and go, "Okay, I'm switching." And then as soon as I switched to the new move, it would like the turn would instantly go. So
I mean, it was
there. It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely exhausting. And after game 1, I was pretty certain I was going to lose, to be honest.
Yeah,
because that was
my
not a nice game for
with
you.
belly drum teams. Ugh. I did not protect my win conditions well enough.
I mean, I go on about win conditions. That's because the way I look at the game is the way someone who likes to click setup moves and then finish looks at the game. Because
I knew that for the most part, except for Avalug. If I deal with Avalug, I hit belly drum, I can sweep in the snow, guaranteed. But it's really hard to maneuver yourself into a position where you feel safe enough to hit belly drum. There's so many different ways that TUN could do something to like have a chance to like get through the belly drum. If it's like getting the Vaporeon in a good turn and hitting Haze at the right time, or getting speed drops from Bulldoze, or having Avalug be healthy enough to take more than one hit.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah. One thing that I feel like I definitely, even though I did turn up the aggression in games 2 and 3, which did end up winning me the set, I wasn't nearly aggressive enough, especially with Haxorus. You can see right here, I basically won game 3 with 5 Pokemon because Haxorus really didn't do anything for me.
Well, I would even argue 4, given that Talonflame really, really fought with Avalugg for what it was trying to do.
God, Talonflame was so bad.
Because Avalugg was sat there as your sort of big defensive wall that could eat hits from the Titan and that could remove hazards. And I also just described what Talonflame does, except Avalugg's a lot better at it. So.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Talonflame just didn't have a role in this match. My thought process was, okay, I can use this to beat the Tauros.
Yeah.
But I didn't even consider for a second that Yooori wasn't just going to let it stay in on the Tauros, right? Like, Yuri's going to switch Tauros.
I mean, for the most part, when Tauros comes in and hits the Intimidate proc, Tauros did its job. Like, that's the majority of what a Tauros to do. If it takes a hit, puts an Intimidate, that's good enough for me.
Tauros was great for you, yeah. I would say we both had one Pokemon that just really didn't contribute much at all.
I think I could have made Palossand contribute a lot more if I'd played more smartly with it.
Yeah, I'd honestly argue that Yuri, your team was working full out, and that's not to discredit any of the plays you did because you played really, really well. But your team was working like flat out, all 6 of them really felt they were contributing. And then Tuna kind of felt like you were running around with 4 Mons, which is not to say that this was that you didn't need them because you did. But
it also feels like my team was much harder to like put into the right winning position because Belly Drum is like kind of hard to set up.
I think that I definitely lost the team building stage for sure. I think that Yuri set up to counter my team better.
I definitely would agree with that.
I didn't put my own Pokemon in a good enough position to succeed. With some exceptions, I think that I nailed Breloom. Breloom, I think I got perfect.
Yeah, Breloom is great. Yeah, I love that. If whoever Tun's second round opponent is, safety goggles. It's so good. It's so good.
Hey,
Sapsipper also great. I love Sapsipper.
One moment.
Hey Ross, but you don't need those. You don't need safety goggles.
No,
if Ross is about to come back with some goggles, then I will just start yelling at someone.
There you go. There you
right.
go.
I'm a little bit early. We haven't actually planned our match yet, but I lead right into Breloom. That's how I have too much hair for these tiny goggles. That's fine. Yeah, and this was actually a genuinely intimidating match to watch first, right? So this is the first match of the PDA. Yeah, I watched. I saw it going out live. I saw the hour and a half between first and last replay going out. If this is the shape of Pokemon battling, have I got time in my life for that? Right? This is my heart can't take it.
I think it's also like I am, especially because I have both Slowking and Grafaiai, 2 Pokemon with switch out moves that I want to click fairly often.
But
of course I'm going to switch out a ton.
It's okay. It was really nicely designed. I was really, really. I liked both the teams, but I really, really liked how yours was built, Yuri. I really, really did.
I said in the draft, like, team building is one thing, piloting is the other half of it, and where I feel really, really good about team building and like trying to like, math my way into beating my opponent, you still have to play the games. So many things go wrong. You could, the mental fatigue is so real in a lot of these times, especially when like you have decision trees that are just like, all right, so I've got to switch into this and then switch into this and then switch into this and then I can belly drum.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
And then you've got to factor in the fact that it's blooming Pokemon. There's going to be some sort of stupid roll that happens halfway through.
Yeah.
The amount of things that decide on like low or high rolls or whether something misses or whatever, it's absolutely ridiculous. You can have the best designed team in the world.
85% chance of hitting. There's a 15% chance that you just miss it and go like, oh.
I study statistics at like a master's level, and I honestly think Pokemon makes me understand how probabilities work worse, because I feel that 15%, I'm like, that's too often. That 15% of it missing is way more than that,
I'm so happy to click Hurricane and Stone Edge every time. Like, I'm okay with that 30% chance. Like, that happens. Every time that 30% happens, it's like, okay,
I did
that's fine. Every time that you miss a play rough, I'm just like, this is bull. There's no way that it can miss that often with 10% chance of missing.
Yeah,
I played enough XCOM to see 10% chances miss, and I clicked play rough in my match. I saw it miss. I'm angry. Kay makes a great point in the chat that a tricky part in planning out a Pokemon match, right, is playing to your outs, identifying how do I win from here, and actually making that happen. Like, I know how to see that in Magic the Gathering. Those resource systems
Mhm.
make sense to me, and in Pokemon, it's alien. Right? How do I win? How do I position myself to be the winner? I can't articulate that in the same way.
Yeah. And then the other thing Kado points out is that if you run a Pokemon like hypothetically Choice Specs or Choice Scarf Hydreigon that just nukes things,
Mhm.
who cares about win cons, baby?
More like
But yeah,
fin
on
cons.
the other chat update, there is a beautiful picture in the Kansas City Breathmints Discord of a beautiful lizard sat on a laptop enjoying the warmth as we watch the stream.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh,
So big shout to Todd and the lizard.
I'm also now just seeing that Todd's nephew was rooting for me. So big shout out to Todd's nephew. Todd, you're not my friend anymore because you were rooting for Yuri. But Todd's nephew, that's my guy.
Yeah, honorary Breathmint, quite frankly.
For sure.
Mhm. All right. Well, do we want to move on to our next section?
Sure.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, does anyone have any particular net games they want to talk about before we disappear? Or maybe we'll save that for the stat sheet, actually, now I think about it.
Yeah, let's save that stat sheet. That seems good.
Yeah. But there's some really
Should
fun
we have
nicknames out
A
there.
midterm exam.
Oh, we're doing
Let's
the
go
midterm
for it.
exam. Cool. All right. So
Yeah, this is, yeah.
So this is Finn's midterm exam. You may think that Finn
Except
is
it's
named
not
after
mine.
Finn here, but this is Finn actually. This is Mr. Finnegan Chumperson. He is my co-host for this exam, and we're going to do some fun stuff with Pokemon statistics, in which I looked through all the team sheets and all of the games, and I counted a whole bunch of things manually, and it sucked. Actually, I don't want to do this again, or with like that particular method. But this was fun to find out a bunch of information. So I want this to be like a little bit informative of like just like what people like myself are thinking of when like building a bunch of Pokemon. And so in terms of team building, the first thing that I want to ask you about is coverage moves. We generally know what a coverage move is. It's a move that is not getting the same type attack bonus, but it helps you cover potential weaknesses or like spread out your damage or something like that.
Yeah.
And so
So, like,
I'm generally not counting moves like Volt Switch or U-Turn, because while they oftentimes are covering some other types, you typically don't care about the damage that they do. You want the speedy switch in or something like that, or like the chip damage switch in. So in terms of like coverage moves, can you tell me like what is probably the most common coverage move, and the I can probably tell you that you know what the most common coverage move is.
we're not counting pivot moves.
We're not counting pivot moves. So what I think, like, because maybe like asking you what the most common coverage move might be too obvious. What is the second most common coverage type?
Okay, interesting. So yeah, so just to reiterate, we're not going over like hypothetical coverage types, just what people have actually explicitly brought with them, yeah?
What people actually did in team building.
Yeah, I would have to guess. I feel like the teams have skewed a bit special in terms of like what attacking things they're going with, just from what I've watched. And I feel like I'm gonna say something like I'm gonna take a stab with electric, but I'm not convinced.
Okay.
No, you're not taking a stab. You don't get same type of
Yeah,
stab
you don't get stab on this
Thank
one.
you. Thank you. K-Dub is predicting dark in chat.
Okay. Tun, do you have an answer for this one?
Sorry, what did Finn say?
Electric.
Electric?
I
I
guess.
have to go ice.
Ice. All right. Ross, do you have an answer?
I'm going to say
Second
ground
most
because I'm bitter.
Okay. So, funnily enough, ground is the most common coverage type, and the
Yeah,
most
that makes
common coverage move is Earthquake, because, as we all know, Earthquake is the best move in Pokemon.
Mhm.
You would be surprised to know that the second most common coverage type is actually fighting. A lot of people running Focus Blast and Body Press and Aura Sphere.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Aura Sphere
Mm.
showed up on more than one Pokemon as a coverage move.
People are so scared of that 30% miss on Focus Blast. It's not called Focus Mist for no reason.
Hey,
Yeah.
Chloritzer
Focus Mist-
is better off with Aura Sphere.
Focus
for sure.
Blast sucks.
I
hate
love
that
Focus
move.
Blast. I will click that.
I
move.
hate
I
how
have no
reliant.
fear. I have no fear. If I
The
need to
number of
hit
times-
an avalanche or the hurricane, I'll go for it.
The number of times that I've been in versus Abyssy, and my only hope is the Focus Blast hitting or I lose. I will never, ever, ever forgive whoever gave it 70% accuracy. Sorry, it's not happening.
It has 30% accuracy. Let's be
Yeah.
honest with ourselves. Focus Blast
This is
has
what I mean.
30%
I'm
accuracy.
studying statistics at master's level. I'm probably going to have a job in statistics in the short future. I don't believe in percentages anymore. That's what Pokemon's done to me. It's not real.
I do like Kay's guess of Dark just because you'd think that knockoff is a pretty common move, but
Yeah.
they actually heavily reduce the amount of Pokemon who have access to knockoff in this generation.
Thank God.
Or it may have been,
And you
it may have
really
been the
feel
last
it.
generation where it happened. So like you want to hit knockoff so often, and Pokemon just don't have that access as much as they used
It's a
to.
consequence of this sort of Dexit thing,
Yeah.
which is the sort
Exactly.
of idea that there are fewer Pokemon in the Pokedex in each game than there used to be. But yeah.
And it makes you use a lot more weird Pokemon. There's a reason that Murkrow is so popular right now in doubles because, like, oh, how many good Prankster Tailwind users do you have? Just Murkrow.
Just Murkrow. And the second, if Whimsicott is back
Whimsicott.
with Pokemon Home,
It's coming
that'll
back.
do.
It's very exciting. Everyone's very excited to see Whimsicott back. All right, so
Apart from
my
Murkrow, who will be left for dust. Yes.
Murkrow can still see some play because it is a dark type. So it
Oh
can
yeah,
counter
with
some
Prankster
Prankster
immunity.
stuff.
But anyway,
So my second question is, how many unique items were used on Pokemon?
it feels like 5 sometimes. It feels like everyone's running leftovers, life orb choices, and we're done. But leftovers, life orb, the 3 choices definitely. We've definitely seen Boots. We've definitely seen Sash. We've definitely seen a Berry. I feel like 1 for coverage. I'm gonna say 9. Go for it.
9, okay. Ton, how many unique items were held by Pokemon?
Just in our tournament?
Just in our tournament, just in round 1.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's tough because I know that. What did the Mousehold have?
Oh, good point. Yeah, the Mousehold would have had wide lens.
Yeah, it had wide lens, so that's another item.
And KW was helpfully pointing out that we probably saw Dragon Fang, and now I think about it, Belly Bolt had Magnet.
Yeah, I have counted 10 already. I feel like. So my feeling is that it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of items that I didn't keep track of, so I'm going to say 15.
Sorry, how much is that?
15.
15? All right.
15.
I'm going to.
Oh yeah, there was Guts Flame Orb. Yeah.
There's Guts Flame
Yeah.
Orb.
Who was running Guts? Which mon was that?
That
There
was
was an
Heracross.
Ursa Ring.
Oh, there was an Ursa Ring, yes. It's because...
Oh, and there also was
Like,
a Heracross, yeah.
Yeah, and the Heracross, yes. Yeah, Caleb, get in here.
Yeah, Caleb, what do you think? Tell us from the chat. How many items? Without looking it up.
17.
Okay. And Ross, how many items do you think?
So I was going to no scope 13, just because vague memory of there being some teams with some quite good comps in terms of variety. Good for me is defined by being different. But I haven't counted.
Oh, and we
So-
had Light Clay as well. I knew we had Light Clay. I had that.
There was 25 unique
25?
items.
Wow.
And
Around
part of that
25
came
items in the
from
game.
I think it was Wish, I want to say, who had just some like really oddball items on a lot of their mons that you may not expect. For example, we got to see a metronome, a razor claw, air balloon, expert.
Yeah.
There's a expert built on Pyres' Skuntank, I think, which is very interesting. There we saw both a heat and a damp rock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of items. Can you tell me which are the? I'm fairly certain you've got a good idea of like what probably the number 1 and number 2 most common items were, but can you tell me what the top 5 were?
okay, well, it's going to be we saw so many choice specs out there, right?
Choice specs
That's in
leftovers are easy. No scope 2.
Yeah.
Let's throw in a life orb. Was there enough
Yeah,
scarf
boots.
to get
Come on,
high?
there was
Oh,
lots
boots.
of
Yeah,
lots of boots running around.
Leftovers.
Did we say lefties? I feel like we did.
I think lefties was like the first or second one mentioned.
Yeah, I'm gonna go leftovers, heavy duty boots, choice specs, choice scarf, because I don't feel like there was a ton of choice band, and then life orb.
K picking light clay as the one we've
All
missed.
right. Well, I'm going to say
I don't
that
think we
Ton
had
no
that many
scoped this
leftovers.
one.
Whoa.
In order, it was leftovers, heavy duty boots, life orb, and choice scarf, and then choice specs.
Damn, I almost got the order right.
You almost got the order. Yeah.
And speaking of held items, this has reminded me of some trivia about the held item metronome, because I've been hurriedly Googling, which is that for a very long time, metronome is an item which increases the amount of power dealt by a move if it's used consecutively. So for up to a maximum of 2 times damage, which is higher than choice items, provided it's been used 5 times in a row to get to that point, which is a pretty heavy bar to clear. Right. However, it used to be that it was coded on Pokémon-showdown such that the damage boost would increment if you hit it into a protect move. So if someone was protecting or they were using any of the protect variants that are out there. And this was what was believed to be the interaction in-game for a very, very long time. And then at some point in 2020, someone actually did some research, because there's still people doing research in these games, even the early ones, and discovered that's not how it works at all. And so known stocks fell overnight once that was updated on Pokemon Showdown, and that was that for the item, really. It stopped really having such of a niche use case. So
So Pokemon Showdown was replicating the unintended behavior, the expected behavior before it was. What a nice little cul-de-sac.
Nice little tidbit. And because you'd have it on, like, say you're like a Toxapex running Baneful Bunker or Protect or whatever, you'd have Mons with that just click the same move over and over with Metronome, and that meant that you couldn't just get away with a free Protect and just sort of sit there and wait. Because the second you're doing that, you're actually giving the opponent more chances to build up power. So there you go. Little trivia.
Huh, maybe it
That's
should
really
work
cool.
like that.
It should. I think it should. You've convinced me. This is my hill to die on now.
That sounds like a really interesting use case.
All right, let's move on to some actual strategy, sort of, maybe a little bit. Can you tell me what the longest 2-game match was?
Oh,
2 game.
Yes, obviously
so I
the
presume we're
3-game
not
matches,
counting like
or just
we're not,
like in
adding
terms
up like games 1 and 2, are we?
Yeah, match that
no,
ended
just
at the end of game 2.
at the end of game for a match that ended
I
after
can
game
tell you
2.
what the fastest
what
one
was
was.
the longest one?
Yeah, no, I can tell you what the shortest one was for sure.
Can you tell me what the longest one was?
Oh, man. So the 2-game matches, obviously Val versus Spool is not a contender for this.
That's not happening.
No.
Wish
Who are the other ones?
versus
Numbers.
That was a
Numbers.
good match. I liked that match a
Yeah,
lot.
that's good.
And that was 2 games. As
That
was
was 2
Smallfish
games.
versus Liam.
That one
Yeah.
was also 2 games.
Yeah, I feel like it's
I
one of
feel like
those
it's probably
two.
the numbers one. That was a good one. That match really, it was a good length, and it really enjoyed it. So yeah.
So I'll call the Liam match as a hubris choice.
All right, and Ton?
Oh well, now I have to be different. I can't be like the other girls. What was the other 2-gamer? Well, all the
But I can
matches.
tell you
were
it's not the
2
Val
games.
game.
Is that the only other 2-game match?
There was Todd versus Pyres.
Todd versus Pyres. Give me Todd versus Pyres. I know.
All
that's
right.
not
Yeah, that
right.
was. I mean, that's not going to be it. Surely.
It's
I know
it's
that's not
it's
right.
wish and numbers. They had
Yeah.
60 turns total in their match. Liam versus Fish was extremely close with 59 turns.
Wow.
And Todd and Pyres were only 48 turns.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
All of those shorter than our game 1.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of that game,
And your
that
game
first
1 didn't
game-
even end because you forfeited.
yeah, no, that could have gone on longer, but it did end at the 69th turn.
Yeah, that was part of why I forfeited.
Well, nice little finish.
Yeah. So can you tell me what was the average number of turns per game overall, and about how many of those games went over that average?
Oh, distribution question.
Mhm.
Let's take the over/under at 27 and 37% went over.
Confidence.
Yeah, that's the important thing.
You're
You've got to pick an
slinging those
unrandom
numbers
number and go
around.
for it. Yeah. Yeah.
On the one hand, Yuri and I definitely would have inflated it. On the other hand, Val just destroyed
It just
it.
crushed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
they
I
balance each
feel
other
like-
out probably.
Yeah, I feel like roughly 30 feels about right. So I'll say 30, and then the number that went above it. Yeah, I think you were right too, Ross. I fly like your numbers. I'm gonna say like 33 or something like that, roughly a third.
I'm gonna go 23.
23.
Yep.
And how many games went over?
Most of them.
Most of them.
I'm not confident in that.
Yeah, that's how averages work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was 30.1 is the average number of turns in a
Oh.
game.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
It was so Finn almost on it, and the number of games, I think out of the 14 that we played, 6 of them went over, so about 43%. So we had some really short games also occur, or slash like early concedes, which definitely surprising a little bit.
Mm.
And my final question is, which of the players? Give me the top 3 players and the bottom 3 players, and most likely to just switch out on any given turn.
Oh, interesting.
Me and you.
I feel like
Now, hold on. Does this count moves that are like U-turn?
pivots.
This counts moves that do switch you out by your own
Okay,
will. So
well-
if you hit U-turn or Volt Switch or Parting Shot, that counts. If you get hit by Dragon Tail, that does not count.
Okay.
And if
I'm
you're forced
gonna
because your
throw
Pokemon
Val.
faints, doesn't count.
I'm gonna throw Val in the bottom 3 just on the basis that when Val, I mean, there weren't many
Mhm.
turns, but those turns mostly consisted of mouse hole clicking
Yeah.
buttons.
So what I'm counting is like the number of turns that the player played and the amount of switches that they made in those turns, and then
Okay.
doing that division. So
So
like
you're
It's like
normalizing,
a
that's good.
percentage
Yeah,
ratio, whatever you want to call
so
it.
it's like on any given turn, you are like this % chance of actually switching out.
I'm gonna say Yumi
Okay.
and Molly.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
always the name
top
on my
3.
and obviously I've got previous on that, but we were dancing.
Then they're
And
definitely top 3. Bottom
least
3.
likely,
Least likely?
Val?
yeah, the
Val.
bottom 3.
But then Val's was so short, and there was some switching in there.
Yeah, but he didn't have to do. He didn't
Yeah,
have
but like
to
in
really
that
do
in that
that.
in like that 10 turn game even, there was just like, I mean, Mousehold came out and went back in again, I swear. I don't know. I'm gonna throw, I feel like Fish maybe. I feel like
Actually, Spool.
Spool, yeah, that feels about right. Yeah, on the receiving
Spool didn't
end
really
of
have a lot of
Mousehold
chances.
nastiness.
How much did you switch, Finn? I'm remembering your Hydreigon.
I
has
do
such
some
a-
I do some pivoting, not loads,
Yeah.
but I do
Finn
some pivoting.
also had a Parting Shot Pokemon for the record.
yeah, that'll do it.
But
Yeah,
also
I had a
like
Bombadil that
I
liked
don't
coming in and out.
I know that like I'm thinking a lot about Parting Shot because I have a Pokemon that likes to Parting Shot, but Volt Switch and U-turn were pretty common moves also.
Yeah. I'm gonna say yeah, and then I don't know. My rogue pick is gonna be Wish. Sure. I'll take it.
All right.
Give me
Happy with that?
K-Dub. Give me K-Dub.
Yeah,
K-Dub with a
0%
0%.
chance.
Division error.
0%, yes.
Okay, Nerves of Steel. K-Dub hasn't switched out once.
I can take Liam. I've got no basis for this. I'll put that on the
Okay.
bottom 3.
I do want to say Liam is one of the players with the most Nerves of Steel, refusing to switch out under most circumstances. But Fish is actually the leader who has switched in 0 times.
yeah, that sounds about right.
That is
Yes.
commitment.
Love you, Fish.
So in Fish, then Liam and Numbers, who switch up about 7% of the time. Their games were pretty long and they did not switch very much at all. Spool and Val, you would think that like, oh, you know, Spool didn't get very many chances, Val didn't get many chances, but their games are so short that like they actually ended up switching a 1 in every 10 turns, which is about how many turns that their entire thing took. So it was you know, pretty fast. In terms of longest, I think this one may have been pretty obvious. I am the most switch happy trainer, followed by TUN and extremely closely followed by Pyres. I think that the way that number worked out was I was about 40% likely to switch on any turn, and having parting shot chilling reception does that.
That'll do it.
And Tun also just switched out almost 1 in 3 times, as did Pyres. They were both about 29% likely to switch out. And the Molly versus Ross game, only 1 in 4. Surprising.
Well, this is great news for me because I face Pyres next. There is nothing more that I'd love more than 3 turns to click setup moves. So Pyres, feel free to keep switching if you're out there.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is also heavily influenced by the matchups. I think if Val had a much longer match, that would have been one in which Val would have.
I know Val is a switcher.
Yeah.
Where do I fall in this? Can I be selfish? Do we know?
Oh, you fall. Where is your percentage? I have you at 18%.
Okay, I'll take that.
Your games weren't the longest, but they also weren't the shortest. Did you know that you and Ads played exactly 100 turns of Pokemon?
Oh, that's a nice round number.
Yeah.
That's a nice, pleasant surprise.
It's not the nicest number.
It's not.
There is one number.
We get the nicest number.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Speaking of which, I mean,
first of all, let's do a big. I mean, I'm not clapping on a stream, but let's big thanks to yooori for sorting it out because this was really interesting to learn about.
Yeah,
and can't have been and also to what I'm going to call Professor Finn.
Professor Finn, yes, right here. And yeah, I was just hoping to talk a little bit about some interesting team building decisions and gameplay patterns that seem to have emerged over the first round. These numbers are definitely going to look very different in the next one, and I don't think I want to keep track of them because it was kind of miserable to scrub through each turn and go was that a switch in or was that a feint?
Yeah, I wonder if it's.
But we'll see. Maybe I'll do something with the. The problem is I kind of want to use a stat sheet that Tun has been making, but then Tun knows all the information, and that's not as fun.
That's true. Although I haven't really been looking too much at my own stat sheet.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll think about it. We'll see how this segment turns out in the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'm just taking a peek at the time. We've been going for nearly an hour. I feel like it might be ambitious to try and fit in more than one game plus the TUN sheet plus
I agree.
talking about next week.
Talking
plus
nicely.
The UK people going to bed at a reasonable hour. Thanks.
That's true.
Do you just want to talk about some cool things that you saw in the games that occurred this week? Any particular mons or builds that you want to shout out?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. I've got some notes on the Money Ross game. Let me speed read them to remind myself what's happening. I really, really liked Molly's team and Molly's read. If Molly is out there, I mean, Molly, phenomenal play. Phenomenal team. Really, really lovely. And Ross, what was going on with your triple choice specs team? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. I just really don't like committing.
These Pokemon are going to hit one move and one move only.
So the jolly thing is realizing that there are so many neutral hits that I can rely on that really I don't feel super punished by choosing in. I miss access to Volt Switch. I miss access to, for example, a sneaky cheeky Rain Dance, which when I thought I could only have one of each item, I had a few little kind of oddball moves in there, which obviously Torkoal setting up Sun. Is there ever going to be a niche where I want to just clear it because I have an opportunity? Well, I could have had that option, but with choice specs, it was clearly never going to happen. I just quite like the idea of punching hard. Chloritza isn't going to do anything else. That's kind of what they're for. If the thing in front of them is still alive, goodbye Chloritza. If they're not, great, let's move on. Dragulge hitting comical high damage on
it was absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Some of those hits.
Obviously, its main weakness is being slow, but Molly's team was medium slow.
Yeah, well, there's also the perennial threat that Hatren or Hatrine would click Trick Room, in which case, I mean, it's not going to outslow Hatren, but
for everything else, even in
who knows?
And that was the trick I mentioned this last week, right? Planning for Molly. What could Molly do that I could think of, right? You've got Trick Room play, you've got the super speed of a full Sun team. Molly had access to 2 Pokemon that could benefit from Sun just on the face of it, and of course a generic kind of punchy team. And Molly found a 4th answer, which is a punchy team that directly counters me in ways I couldn't have. I just didn't get there. The only call I think I made correctly is I spec'd enough EVs into defense rather than HP and special defense. That lined up quite nicely with the threats that ended up hitting me.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah. So that went well for me, I think.
And another shout out for Molly, but I really liked the Choice Scarf to Sandaconda. That was completely
spicy.
That was completely left field, and it was a really, really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely got at least 1 KO out of me for expecting to be slower. That did work.
Yeah, and then on the similar topic, ads ran Choice Scarf Mabostiff, which wasn't even on my radar of things that people could do. But of course, it would have outsped non-scarfed Hydreigon and then probably killed it in one go where a screen's not up with play rough. And so, I mean, because I had screens most of the time and because I actually have a Choice Scarf Hydreigon, unfortunately it didn't play out. But what a pick! That was sneaky. I would not have been prepared for it.
Yeah.
Expecting it even.
Having gone over your match with ads, there was a number of those things going on. I would say that, for example, the speed battle between your Hydreigon and Ads' Salamence, you basically force Ads' Salamence to be max speed in Choice Scarf if it wanted to outspeed you, because you were max speed Choice Scarf.
Yeah, that was the thing I had to bear in mind the whole time, because if Ads had a Scarfed Mence with Moxie, I was terrified of that possibility. Because my team likes to hit things really hard, and what it really does not want to do is to take hits if it can at all avoid doing that. Ideally, the other thing is dead and not hitting it in return. That would be ideal, preferably. But so with that, if I let Mence come in, kill something immediately with the Choice Scarf, and then get a Moxie boost, that could quite easily, I could fold in about a turn or two. I mean, I've got some responses to that, but really not very many good ones. So I was like, we're shoving a Choice Scarf on Hydreigon and hoping that Ads does not do this. So, and that's what happened. So we won. But it was still, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a situation where I do think that if Ads had Choice Scarf on that Salamence, that changes the whole complexion of the match, because Salamence was a bit of a non-factor in your match.
Yeah, it just kind of came in and died immediately, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, but I think that if you put that Choice Scarf on it, for those watching, at max speed investment with both having Choice Scarf, I believe Salamence outspeeds Hydreigon by 4.
Yeah, Salamence has the highest actual base speed of any mon in that match.
Yeah.
Because
so
of
it
shenanigans.
Barely outspeeds Hydreigon.
Yeah.
And so that would have been a huge deal, because Hydreigon obviously picked up 7 KOs.
Well, those are mostly finishing off the work, but yeah, from what I reviewed.
Regardless, right? And being able
Yeah.
to make more use out of that Salamence would have been huge. I also noticed on a few occasions, both of you having Pokemon that were just specifically for that match, right? Yeah. Obviously, Choice Scarf on the Mabostiff was a huge deal. But then on top of that, you bringing that Venomoth. To me, the Venomoth is the play of the week.
Yeah.
I loved that Venomoth. I love that thing so much. When I realized, I mean, obviously the first thing to note is it's got tinted lens, so Ads has to double resist a move for it to actually count as a resist. But the second thing to realize is that when I spotted it had Giga Drain, I mean, I sort of had some awareness of this, but when I spotted that, I mean, Dondozo's got humongous HP stat and basically no special defense. I mean, well, Moth has got basically 0 HP. And so what it really wants to do is to just soak up lots and lots of HP from Dondozo and just sort of not die, which is exactly what it did. So that was lovely. And then when I spotted it had Psychic as well to just nuke the Revavroom, that was beautiful. That was really exciting.
Yeah, and the fact that you were able, I mean, again, I must emphasize to people, we probably don't have time to go over this match, but Dondozo is probably at least the second best Pokemon, if not straight up the best Pokemon in this pool, of the Pokemon that we allowed to keep, that we didn't ban. Dondozo is seen as this unbreakable wall because it has not only incredible defensive stats, but it's also got an ability called Unaware, which means that you can't set up on it, essentially. You can set up.
I
but
mean,
it
you
won't
can,
do
but it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, yeah, you totally can. And Finn tried, but it's not going to work. And Finn was able to take Venomoth, a Pokemon who is just garbage, just a bad, stinky Pokemon.
But it's got the reputation of getting banned from RU every generation, and it's got that reputation for a reason.
Yeah.
That thing with
but
tinted lens and
it's
covered
not
eyes
considered
is,
an OU threat by any means.
yeah, no,
No,
you're
no,
not throwing it in. Yeah,
Finn was able to use Venomoth as a pretty much 100% counter to Dondozo, just by virtue of it having Giga Drain, and then on top of that, it was a threat to everything else because it had access to Quiver Dance.
a notoriously really good and well balanced move on Pokemon with bug typing.
Yes. Again, why I was praying somebody would make the fatal mistake of allowing Volcarona to fall to me.
Oh,
There's
that
no
was never
chance,
going to
no
happen,
chance,
baby.
no
That
chance.
was never going to happen.
It's okay. Next time I'm going to advocate for us to have no ban so I can have my boy.
Oh Jesus,
That's
absolutely
gonna be
not. I'm
so
not.
bad. No.
I mean, I would do it, but oh
Or
my gee,
or
oof.
what if it was no bans doubles? I think that makes it a lot more fair.
Yeah.
No bans doubles. Also, we give K-Dub first pick, just sort of out of
Yeah,
pity.
I think like if we do this next time, we should. If we do this next time, we should do the pick order based off of like how people place in this tournament.
Yeah. Oh, and
I feel
K-Dub's
like
just
if
leaking
either
our
doubles. Sorry, go ahead.
K-Dub's just leaking our DMs to say that I was really scared of Dozo, which yeah, I actually did come up since we're leaking our DMs. I'd actually come up with the Venomoth like 2 hours beforehand. Until that point, I was going to run some sort of really weird Hariyama set where I would bulk up on something that would let it bulk up with screens. That would force a Dondozo switch. I'd then wear it down with Drain Punch, similar to Giga Drain. I'd then taunt it while it was resting and asleep to finish off. That was the really big 5 million step plan. And then I realized I could just click Giga Drain and do the same thing. So,
Nice. Much easier.
yeah, that was a lot better.
Yep. I want to shout out Pyres, who did some incredible work team building against Todd. I love the mixed attacker Skuntank with expert belt in order to make sure that he had an actual threat that could deal with Todd's defensive core. Like it had Poison Jab for Florges and Dark Pulse for Slowbro, which is
Yeah.
such great team building. I love that.
The other thing that I want to say about Pyres is that Pyres, I should have paid more attention to what Pyres was doing, because I was like, oh yeah, Pyres is gonna draft some defensive ones. Cool, stall team. Nothing happening there. That was not a stall team.
Nope.
I don't even think it was barely balanced.
It was a fairly balanced team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pyres did tell us afterwards that like if he went for just playing normal stall, there's literally no way to beat Todd's team. The Heracross could probably sweep it. So it had to become very creative and do some very cool, interesting team building in order to get the win, which he did in a pretty convincing fashion. So just incredible work.
And now I'm
Todd's,
in a circle of
Todd's no
hell.
slouch. So.
And I'm in a circle of hell because I need to work out if I need to respond to bulky Pyres or I need to respond to weird mixed Pyres. So that's gonna be really fun. And the
And the
answer I need
simple
to prep
threat
both
of
of them.
that will warp your team, right? And this is where the 10 Pokemon list is actually working quite well. I mean, yeah, 10 is more likely. I think we each have 7 to 8 workable choices. Credit to the people that will find use out of all 10.
I've got a pig. It's definitely going to show up at
Get
some point.
stuck in your own head, right? So Todd was very worried. We heard on his stream of Cloyster, and what will that do to them? And that didn't end up being relevant in any way. How do you do that dance even before the games begin?
God, I wish I had Cloyster.
Me too. I would love to have Skill Smash Cloyster
I
on
was
my team.
one pick away from getting Cloyster, and I have Avalugg instead. And I love my boy, but man,
It's a big difference between those two.
Cloyster would just do everything Avalugg does, but better.
Yeah, cool.
So with that said, do we want to move on to our stat sheet?
Yeah.
Let's have a peek at that thing.
Let's do it. So the best way to do this, I think, is if Yuri has it on the screen share.
Yeah,
can
I'm
switch to
just
that.
trying to find the stat sheet again.
No worries. Cool. I will transition us over. There we go. Oh, I might want to make that. Yeah,
Oh,
if you zoom in,
good old-
we're seeing your view.
Good old div
You want me to
by
zoom in?
0 happening in there.
Yeah, let's zoom in.
Perfect. That should be readable.
All right, so this right here is a stat sheet that I made up because I wanted to. And I wanted to specifically just have like a running total of the things that I cared about were how often is something coming to the matches, how many KOs is it taking, and how many deaths is it taking. And I just wanted that because I think it adds a little fun side product to this whole deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think anybody should change how they play in order to get a Pokemon higher on
Well,
this
the
list.
good news is that Valve has already set all the records possible, so everyone can stop now.
We can stop. Yep.
Yeah, no, Mousehold is already, I'm sure people can tell, Mousehold is already quite a ways up there. But I think that this is going to be interesting, especially as the tournament goes on. And it'll be nice to see who can manage to get the most KOs, which Pokemon can. And there were some surprises as I went through this. The one surprise, which we've already mentioned, the one thing which was not a surprise, which we've already mentioned, is that Mousehold just dominates this leaderboard right now. It's 3 KOs clear of the next most deadly Pokemon.
Yeah.
Its KD differential is +9. And it managed to do that in just 2 games. So,
Well, what can I say? The mouse cleans house. What can I say?
What
Yeah,
can
the
you
mouse
say?
So I came up with that and had to get out of my system. Sorry, Tim.
yes, no, absolutely. But beyond that, I mean, there's a couple that I didn't expect. I didn't process at the time how much work Liam's Gallade did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Like I knew it was
has
cleaning, but
it has the most KOs of any Pokemon that didn't take a death.
Liam did some really interesting things in like Gallade too. I was looking at its moveset afterwards, and it was like Aqua Cutter, Aura Sphere, or maybe it wasn't Aura Sphere. It had Psycho Cut, I think, and like
yeah,
it was
because
just
it's this new sharpness thing, isn't it?
yeah, it's just 4 sharpness boosted attacks, I think, of different typings, and it worked out really well.
I didn't know
Yeah.
Aqua Cutter was a move.
It certainly
I think
is.
it's a new one. It feels new.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah, maybe.
Some other big takeaways here. Again, Finn's Hydreigon. I didn't process this at the time either because it didn't feel like the main interaction that was going on in that match.
Yeah.
But Hydreigon picked up 7 KOs over 3 games.
But I think what's happened there is that Hydreigon was my designated revenge killer / cleanup mon.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
but it was not doing the legwork by itself because that's what Moth was up to. Moth was busy doing all the heavy lifting, and then Hydreigon swanned in at the last second and took credit.
For the record, the Gallade is a choice banded sharpness with Aqua Cutter, Aerial Ace, Psycho Cut, and Leaf Blade. It's going to choose the best neutral move and try to sweep as much as possible.
And the other thing as well is that Aqua Cutter is a new move this gen. So there we go.
Yes.
Trivia asserted.
Yeah. After that, there is my Breloom in terms of KOs. It got 6, which puts it solidly in 4th place.
Shout out to the belly bolt named Froggers. That's a strong
Yeah,
contender for my
that's
favorite nickname.
Frog Champ.
Yeah, no, we should talk about some of these nicknames because we've got a lot of quality nicknames going on here.
Yeah. And the incredibly aptly named Jaw of Death, Bruxius. It's not happening. I can't say it. Thank you.
Yeah, the Pyres, and that thing did so much work.
It's some good work.
I have to say also Daisy Dukes from Numbers. I didn't understand that at first, but then I realized it was a shiny Medicham which has blue pants, which is that's hilarious.
And I pointed this out on my stream that got lost to the ether, which means you've not appreciated that I've appreciated this yet, Ross. But Love Disc actually.
Thank you.
First,
Thank
that is
you.
on,
Oh, yeah,
that's on too
that
many
one's
blooming
very fun.
levels.
That one's really good.
Yeah.
Because then, of course, Alomomola looks like a Love Disc evolution, even though it isn't for some mysterious reason. But the fact that you're playing off of Blooming Love, actually, that really wound me up when I spotted that.
I'm trying to deal psychic damage every time I bring it in, right? It's Love Disc, actually.
And then, of course, good old Marco Heracross. Sorry, you were going to say, Tin?
Yeah, no, so I think also naming Orthworm Ohio, I think Numbers just had a lot of
Yeah, Numbers had a good naming.
just naming it Ohio is really funny.
Yeah, I need to change my. I feel like I could change my mini. At one point, my Bombardier was called Hi Bye because it was just going to come in and then go out again. So I was happy with that. What else we got in here? Where did Cerise come from for the Vaporeon? I didn't get that reference.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was a cute
Nice.
name. Cerise
Solid
is just
answer.
the French word for cherry.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and then his support, her carry.
Yeah,
That was
I like
very
that one a lot. I know that those two are going to be on most people's minds, so I'm just going to make it obvious.
We could even scroll down and see if there's a couple other nicknames.
Well, I want to call out one thing for Call for Kelp, my boy Dragalge, who, not just because I like the name, right, but also because of Molly's resignation, Call for Kelp was denied 2 honourable deaths that they were going to claim. So they should be right up there in the 5-1. That's what that's my hill I'm dying on this week.
Well, no, actually, oh yeah, I understand what you mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there are 2 potential kills available to that Mon that they would have outsped and been hence drawing resignation. I'm not actually trying to object to the data.
Yeah.
No, Ross
what I
is
was
running
going
a
to say
campaign to ban forfeits for this tournament. You should see
part
inside
of
the
how
admin chat. We're just fighting day in, day out. Flame wars are happening in there. It's awful.
Yeah. No, none of that is happening. What I was going to say is part of how I tabulate this. So for deaths, if there was a forfeit, that does sort of throw a wrench into this, right? Because it's like, okay, how do you assign KOs? Deaths, if you forfeit, I just assign a death to every Pokemon on your team because you essentially are saying, okay, they're going to die. And I think that's fair. For KOs, though, it's not as simple because you can't just award it to whatever Pokemon happened to be in at the time because there's no guarantee that Pokemon actually would have gotten those KOs.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is that I only am awarding KOs when a Pokemon deals the finishing blow, essentially. It's kind of like a League of Legends thing. So if you die from chip damage, that's not a KO.
So when Torkoal sets up Stealth Rocks and it kills a Pokemon who switches in at 6% HP, Torkoal doesn't get it.
No, Torkoal doesn't get that.
Okay.
You don't get the credit for having set that up because again, I think that on some level it's like, okay, well, you happen to do the last bit of damage, right?
I'm gonna make sure to surrender with 6 healthy Pokemon.
That makes it just arbitrary enough for it to be funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that this stuff will also get more interesting as we get more games under us, right? Right now, it's a pretty clear leaderboard, but I also want to see some Pokemon start climbing this, right? Some Pokemon that weren't brought that are able to start climbing the board. I want to see some Pokemon separate themselves sort of at the top, like who are the threats week to week, and then I want to see who gets the most KOs at the end.
I'm going to make a called shot that Mouse holds there now, and it is strong. But I'm making a called shot that it will be up there, but it's not going to be number 1 at the end of the league.
You have to start planning for it, right?
Just put Rocky Helmet on a Pokemon that's going to get hit by it.
The mouse is out of the bag, and I don't know that anybody that goes into a match with Val is going to have a plan for it. So I'd be surprised to see Mouse hold Sweep again, but also it's really strong.
But one advice we'll give to the league. Go ahead, Finn.
Yeah, that's the thing as well going forwards, because I'm not going to catch anyone with a surprise moth anymore, am I?
Nope, everyone knows now.
And similarly, there's going to be it's going to get worse and worse as weeks go on, but there's going to be more and more sort of well, I know this person bought this last week, and they know that I know that I know this, but I know that they bought this the other week as well. So and you just keep going forever and ever.
I'm not going to cook that much. I'm going for level 1 or level 2 strategies only. I could cook all day. I've doing the math and I'm trying to cook and going this doesn't taste as good as just putting in Titan and Slowking and Grafaiai, making a stew out of it and calling it a day,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's going to happen as well, I think. But yeah.
So what is for your guys' teams? What are your favorite nicknames on your on your own teams?
Good question.
His support. Her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Boo Boo Keys on Clef Key, but that's not really my invention. That was a very common nickname around 2014. I like Dance or DDR, Dancers Revolution on Moth, and that's because Ads nearly brought his own Vivillon that was also nicknamed DDR. So that would have been really funny.
I'm glad to hear you confirm it is Dance Dance Revolution, because I said on stream in a previous instance that they will be first against the wall when the Dance Dance Revolution comes. I like to have that affirmed, but I'm not off piece. Yeah, I'm plumping with Loftus, actually. I'm quite fond of logins because I want to take you to the Magna Zone, but I don't know how many people know about Kenny Logan's work at this point. Top Gun Maverick helps me at this point. Yeah, I need to work on the rest of my team. They've got quite straightforward. Bandit for Chloritza, actually, I will give a tiny shout out for being a one-armed bandit, but actually that's not why I named him that. That's true, but I realised that later. It's because I like Bluey, and the dad of that family, Bandit, has the same colour scheme, the same palette as Chloritza.
Interesting.
Oh,
that's sweet.
That is sweet. My favorite has to be on my own team. A Pokemon I didn't bring, and I may bring this week, which is my Rabska, which is nicknamed Louse MD.
That's very good. Shout out to Appleton, who I've nicknamed Stolen Mascot.
I'm so mad. So angry.
Yeah, I'm going to mess around with it now to see if I can got something better. So,
okay, K-Dub, I have to say, K-Dub's team overall has the best names.
Yeah, I've been doing
K-Dub went for a theme, like a heist theme, and oh my god. Let's just, hold on. I'm just going to get, because we're not seeing any of K-Dub's stuff together, I'm going to sort this A to Z real quick, and then we can scroll down and just look at what K-Dub came up with.
Perry
I forgot about sweet potatoes. Because I thought Lycan Rock was going to be my sweep, and so I was like, oh, sweet potatoes, like, you know, didn't get a reference me. And then it did nothing.
All right, so Perry Alphonse MD for the Oricorio, Sweet Jeremy, Tony Three Toes,
the Laurencio 3.
The Laurencio 3. It's so good. All of the, and like the contrast of like, you've got Mix, Amelia, Bedelia, JD, and then also you have Tiny.
Yeah,
the Colossal.
Yep.
Like, that's awesome. K-Dub knocked it out of the park with these nicknames.
Yeah, and speaking of K-Dub, I've been doing some, I mean, I imagine most of us have done a scrim against K-Dub at this point, given that K-Dub is pretty willing to find people on the pity side of the bracket. I'm excited to see, I'm not going to spoil things, but I'm excited to see K-Dub's team unleashed. Because K's cooking.
I've also scrimmed against K-Dub quite a bit. And again, I'm not going to say anything about what is and is not a threat on K-Dub's team. But I'm also excited to see that. And K-Dub, I think, also has brought a nice, healthy sense of competition to this as well. I just want to shout that out because K-Dub has helped me get better as well. And like after playing against K-Dub, I now feel much more confident in terms of like, what should I be bringing to my team? What does the base version of my team look like so that I can branch off of that?
Yeah. No, definitely. And the other thing
sorry, go ahead, Finn.
I've lost whatever it was, so carry on.
Oh, I'm really sorry. Gosh, I say, whilst we're talking about nicknames, it would be, I'm spitballing this, fun when we start approaching what will the shape of the final stream look like, right? We're heading towards a genuine final. If we can get something like a Pokemon contest for vibes-based nickname quality, can we do something to celebrate together?
We could definitely get a Google form going in this chat.
Oh yeah, that would be really fun. Something like maybe everybody submits like their 2 or 3 favorite Pokemon nicknames.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
A blind ballot. I say that to make it happen. Put pressure on us. That's all.
Yeah. This has just been really fun, and I'm having fun with every. I'm having fun with every step of this. I'm really like shocked how much fun I'm having, to be honest. And like, so if there's more stuff to do, I'm down for it. Like, sometimes I feel like I get involved in projects that try to do too many things, and the base thing already isn't having fun.
But this has been really nice, hasn't it?
Yeah,
I'm really
this
happy.
has been
Absolutely,
great.
The only thing I feel sometimes I'm missing is somebody who understands everything in the context that I can throw ideas at and like query. It'd be brilliant if we could pair up for a future iteration just to take some of that pressure off, and yet we can still reach out to each other. I've had good chats with Finn. I'm looking forward to scrimming K. I'm going to say that now because I'm going to fight you IRL. That's been really useful. I kind of want to go deeper on that, right? Let's go messy and share stat sheets, and which is clearly impractical because everyone is still live for a finals matchup.
Yeah, it's been good fun. Actually, yeah, because I had a really, really convo with ads now that our matches are done, because it was like, oh, here's what I was doing, here's the calcs that I was running in Showdown. And there was just, I'm not going to go through our DMs, obviously, but it was just like pages of us just going back and forth and stuff that we'd obviously not been able to share until that point. We were both clearly really excited to go, oh my god, this is what I was doing. So it'd be nice to do that at some point. Maybe do like a post-match debrief with someone, actually, if we have a live one. That'd be really good fun.
Yeah. With that in mind, just in the interest of you guys getting to go to bed, do we want to wrap up with a look forward to the next week?
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And then I can remind everyone again that I'm terrified of pyres. So.
Oh my god,
goodness, it's double
Finn,
Elim.
you have Finn. If you win this tournament, Finn, if you win this tournament, like it's gonna be like undisputable, like that you are the best Pokemon player here.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be up
Isn't
for
that the
debate
point?
because
Isn't that the point of the tournament? In the first place.
But the
what
goal
I
that you're
mean is
running,
that you have an incredibly difficult bracket. There's no breaks for you. Not to say that like you know there's anything like a buy round or anything like that except for Kata, but like you know there's various experience levels here. But the quadrant you got sorted into is just
it's pie or die over here.
Yeah,
It truly is.
yeah, and Pyres was incidentally the only pie who managed to win in week 1. So the Mints did not get that clean sweep.
Well, can you not put that pressure on me now?
No, yeah, now it's also about tribalism.
do it for Batman.
Yeah,
as opposed to before, when there was no tribalism in baseball whatsoever.
I love the pies. We can't let a pie win this turn.
No, we can't let. Sorry, pies.
No, we absolutely cannot. Which is why I'm going to. I'm going back on my word. I'm fully cooking. I'm cooking super hard to defeat Molly now.
Yeah. To be clear, we're not going to engage in any like collusion or anything like that.
No, but
I'm mostly joking.
Yeah, we're not colluding, are we?
No, I'm not making a secret trade to send Appleton to Tun's team in exchange for cash considerations.
Yeah, I just show up.
I've not heard of that Pokemon.
I just show up like in the finals against Pyres, and I've got Appleton. It's like, yeah, I can do this now.
Yeah, I mean the reason I've
Also,
not
like,
heard that one, Ross, is that we did ban Goldengo. That's cash considerations, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
Cash considerations is such a good name for a Goldengo.
That's so good.
Okay. But talking about next week's bracket, if we could maybe get that.
Can you get it up, Yuri?
Yes, absolutely. 1 second.
Thank you. I feel like between this and the stream I did the other day, all I do is ask Yuri to do things, and then Yuri knows better than me anyway.
Here's our bracket.
I'm not going to being a breath mint, Finn.
So going top to bottom, we've got Kata versus Numbers, which is going to be a really interesting match because this is the first time we're going to get. It's the first time we're going to get to see Kata.
Numbers has been like a bit of a dark horse for me actually, because the Numbers Wish game, like I didn't think either of them have got much experience, but they played like they've been doing this for years. It felt
Numbers
like.
plays really well, and Numbers cooked quite a lot. I love the interesting little things that they brought for that set. It was incredible.
Yeah, Wish and Numbers really like blew me out of the water. Like I wouldn't have believed that they were novices at all.
I think that was one of the closest 2-0s in the first round.
Absolutely.
No, that was super close. I had at no point during those games was I thinking like this is over. Like the entire time I was thinking I literally have no idea how this is gonna end. So yeah, Kata versus Numbers. That's gonna be a competitive one for sure.
Yeah, that's my game to watch next week. But yeah.
Val versus Liam. I think the narrative there is all about the mouse and what does Liam do about it.
Yeah.
Liam beat Smallfish. and that was also a fantastic set of matches. But I also think that there's not. I look at Liam's team, and I'm interested to see what Liam will choose in order to counteract the mouse, because I think that there's not an obvious counter to it. And then it's me and Ross, of course.
Nothing to say about that.
Like saying nothing relevant.
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah, the most boring match of the week, of course. Right?
Yep.
No, I think that that'll be interesting. I am scared. I'm always scared before these matches, to be fair, but I am scared. That's all I really have to say. Ross, do you have stuff to say?
Well, the thing that surprised me going into Molly is the online player anxiety existed here in a way that in real games, like playing Magic in front of another human, I'm fine. Playing virtually, there's always that level of that I can't quite distill. That plus Bullet Seed, I don't know. I'll make it through somehow. I will be alive at the end of the match. My team may or may not.
You don't have to worry about Bullet Seed. Come on. What if it only hits twice?
I can live in that dream. It's fine. I've got a Snap Sipper. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
And thank you for that, Tun. That's going to be really helpful.
Yeah. And then Pyres and Finn. Finn, I know you're trying to be modest. To me, this is match of the week.
That's easily match of the week.
Yeah. Because I think both of you showed quite a lot in your opening round
I'm actually
matchups.
spoilers, but I'm actually personally not planning on running many modest mons. I'm kind of scared of speed control here, so it'll probably be timid for me.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yes.
I will.
I believe that.
I will leave. I'll leave. I'll just leave midstream.
High frequency Pokemon puns. I mean, this is good.
I know. I got you a stab earlier, so I had that coming.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but Pyres Finn. I mean, I think you guys both showed off quite a lot in your opening round matchups. Both of you had some absolute sicko picks.
The fear for me is that I thought I had Pyre's number because I really wasn't paying attention to what Pyres was up to. I was too busy trying to work out how I could deal with Dondozo. And so when I was looking ahead to the future, I was like, okay, if it's Todd, I could do some sort of speed control stuff, maybe run sticky webs. If it's Pyres, oh, I'm fine. You know, get out the heavy offense, click set up moves. He's not got any unaware. We'll be all good.
Nope. You thought he was running a defensive team, but you were wrong.
That's not happening.
You were wrong. Yeah, so Pyres
could do anything.
is terrifying. And then in the losers bracket, we've got Spool versus Smallfish.
Which is actually already concluded. I haven't looked at the results to update the bracket yet, but that one has actually concluded already.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep.
I didn't even know that. Wow, so we already have a week 2 match.
We've already finished that match. I woke up this morning, I was like, what? Matches?
Yeah,
This early?
The other thing with me and Pyres is that Pyres is out of town. Well, I mean, more out of Pyres town,
Yeah.
I imagine. But Pyres is busy all week, so the only time we're going to get to play is probably right at the end of next week. So just to add to everything.
Yeah, the Philly side is going to probably not happen until later in the week.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's pie
Speaking
time.
of Philly players, we've got Yuri's match versus Molly, which is a tough draw in round 1 of losers bracket.
I was really hoping to get Ross. I'm so much more prepared against Ross's team, like just with the Pokemon that I have. Like, I'm like really not sure whether to just like not cook and do the thing that like Molly is going to be the most scared of, or cook my way so hard into getting a loss.
Yeah.
And this is why it's my pick of the game of the week, right? This is the game I want to see. What do they choose? Because there's so many options available to both sets of 10. The dance is too many steps for me to follow. I just want to see where we end up.
Yeah, and then we've also got Todd versus Ads,
Which is such a painful matchup.
I know. Again, speaking
I don't
of
want to lose either of them so early. They both know what they're really doing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
sure.
Like, it's
I mean,
definitely.
not that I want anyone go out, but it's like looking at those two. It's like these are people. Both of them. Like, if you told me this was the finals, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. You know.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really, really strong players here. So it's unfortunate. You know, people have to lose.
Yeah, and I mean Todd especially, I feel like has been like really downplaying his own ability at this game.
Yeah.
But I think that really all that happened in the opening round was just that Pyres brought a very, very different team that Todd wasn't prepped for. And I think that probably could have beaten any of us, right?
Yeah, I feel bad because I thought Pyres was only defensive, so I was like, "Oh, Todge, get some covert cloak out. Do you know about that thing?" And I don't think we saw Salt Cure clicked once. So sorry, Todd, that was bad
Yeah,
advice.
that was rough.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like, you know, I think that when I've played Todd, like he's made really good decisions.
Yeah.
When he's played, and like he's built his team in really intelligent ways. So I do want to see him get that win. And I got to be the homer. I got to root for the Breathmans. Sorry, ads. You seem like a nice person, but I'm rooting for my boy.
Yeah.
And then I
So
guess
that's the week's
Wish
go
just
ahead.
have a bye this week.
Yeah, Wish
Yeah.
gets the losers round by.
Wow.
But that's the last buy in the tournament, so
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. After
savor
this,
it.
yeah. So far, I know we made predictions last week, but do we have any feelings this week about who we think is going to take it?
Like all the
No.
way.
I could not predict any of these matches this week.
Yeah, it is kind of a toss up in each match, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not none of these. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's a closed book. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
no.
enough power disparity, and in the 10 monsters we have access to, that it's yeah, the actual lineups look pretty well balanced.
Yeah, I would say so. The call I want to make is that I think that Pyres Finn, whoever wins that, is like I think whoever wins that's going to win.
I think our quadrant does have a real Forge of Champions vibe to it. It's very mild low.
Oh yeah, for
Top
sure.
Pyres Finn ads feels pretty. Ooh. We're like clobbering each other to death over the sort of like, even like clobbering each other to death to try and get in through the losers round bracket to get through to the end. It feels like
That's true
very
to an extent,
reminiscent.
but I also think that, like, you know, if we were to get like Numbers Val or Val,
Oh yeah, no, I'm not dismissing anyone at all.
No, absolutely
not
not. But I think like I would not feel like incredibly confident against any of those players.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
no, I'm
that's
just-
my call for right now.
I'm just reminded of like just back in the very ancient days, the expansion. Do you guys remember that thing? Do you remember that baseball thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I remember
quite.
that once upon a time.
I don't remember
heard that
before.
name in
No.
1,000 years.
But I remember, but like every single season, it felt like, you know, mild high. We'd be like, yeah, we've got our guy, off you go. And then meanwhile, mild low, we'd just be sat there right up until day 99, sort of clawing our way. It would always be last game. that would make or
Literally,
break
last
it.
2 spots would get decided on the last day. It's so
Yeah.
difficult every time.
Absolutely horrible. And that's what it feels like to be climbing out of this little quadrant. But yeah.
That's partly why I'm happy
gonna-
to have got the win in the books, that I can say, great, I have proven that I can play a Pokemon game. I've got a number that proves that, right? That's how this works, right?
Yeah.
Whatever happens, I can be
we've got a spreadsheet. We've got more than one now, but we've got spreadsheets.
true. And actually, of course, that's nonsense. Like, just
Yeah.
playing has been fun.
Yeah.
I would have.
I also want to say that if I do win this, if I win this tournament, I will forever in my Discord name have Pokemon.
Oh yeah, no.
For sure.
I'm
for
pretty
sure.
sure Molly has got Survivor winner in her
Nice. Yeah.
description.
I will say, if I lose this next round, I will be happy to no longer wake up going like, oh, choice specs. I've been having nightmares about all the misplays I've been having. Ugh.
Well,
Yeah.
this has been some good fun, some good old fashioned fun.
Mhm.
Yes, it's also taught us that we need to work out how to do scope for these things. But that's fine.
Yes, for
That's
sure.
fine. We're all learning.
Any
Deciding how much
project
to
has
how much
scope
to wing
creep,
it.
especially projects that I'm involved in. But yeah,
Well, that will then be the end of the show. Hopefully, we've whet your appetites for the streams to come. There will be some coverage of these games. Based on last week, it's likely to be a bit ad hoc. What we can confirm is that you can expect some VODs to appear in the Pokémint thread. We'll pin them. There'll be a playlist. So whilst we can't, because we're amateurs, ahead of time say, yes, this game will happen at this time and this will be the coverage, at least there'll be some way to keep up with the games. all that is left for me now is to thank our wonderful team. Thank you so much, Finn, Yooori, TUN, for making time for this. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Is there anything you want to say before I close out?
No, it's just been really good fun.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's a
I
lot of
don't.
fun.
I've not looked at the stream other to check in about the chat every now and again. There could have been no one tuning in, and I would have shown up to have this chat.
100%. On all these streams, I've had the chat beforehand when setting up, and often after as we kind of close off, and like that's still fun. I want to hang around for it. Apologies for disappearing a couple of times during the stream. My wonderful child decided they need my attention, and they're welcome to it. They win, I'm afraid. But nothing went on fire whilst I was away, so hurrah for that. All right. So just as Kay says, let's always be gaming. Farewell.
Right.